Every age produces warriors, men and women who step into arenas, whether of sand, of grass, or of rope and canvas, and dare the world to watch them fall. Most warriors are remembered by their victories, but there are a rare few who are remembered by what they refused to become. Open the book with me tonight, because this story does not begin in a ring. It begins on a bicycle. Louisville, Kentucky, 1954. A 12-year-old boy named Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. parks his brand new red Schwinn bicycle outside the Columbia Auditorium and walks inside to stuff himself on free food at a local expo. When he comes back out, the bicycle is gone, stolen. Cassius is furious. He finds a police officer, a man named Joe Martin, and tells him he wants to beat up whoever took his bike. Joe Martin looks at this scrawny, trembling boy and says something that changes history. "Son, you better learn to fight before you start threatening people." Martin was a boxing trainer. He took Cassius downstairs to the gym that very day. What happened next was not a fairy tale transformation. It was 6 years of obsessive, daily, before-school and after-school training. Cassius Clay did not become great overnight. He became great through repetition, so relentless it bordered on madness. By the time he was 15, he was the best amateur boxer in the state of Kentucky. By 18, he had won 2 national Golden Gloves titles and an AAU championship. And at the 1960 Rome Olympics, at just 18 years old, he walked onto the world stage and won a gold medal, boxing with a style nobody had ever seen before. Fast feet, hands low, head constantly moving, combinations that came from impossible angles. The trainers watching him thought it was reckless. The opponents who faced him were simply confused. But what made this young man remarkable was never just the physical gift. There have been fast boxers before. There have been powerful boxers before. What Cassius Clay had and what Cassius Clay became was something different. He had a mouth, and he knew exactly how to use it. When Cassius Clay returned from Rome with his gold medal, he reportedly wore it everywhere, including to bed. He was so proud, so loud, so publicly self-certain that the media didn't know what to make of him. This was 1960 in America. Black athletes were expected to be humble, grateful, quiet. Cassius Clay was none of those things. He wrote poetry about his fights. He predicted, publicly, specifically, and correctly, the exact round in which he would knock out his opponents. He called himself the greatest before he had beaten a single top 10 fighter in the world. Sports writers thought it was arrogance. Many despised him for it. But look closely at what he was actually doing. He was controlling the narrative. In an era when Black Americans had almost no power over how they were portrayed in mainstream media, Cassius Clay made himself impossible to ignore and impossible to define on anyone else's terms. Every boast was also a challenge. Every poem was also a press release. Every prediction was a dare. And then came Sonny Liston. If you want to understand what Cassius Clay was made of, you need to understand who Sonny Liston was. Because Liston was not just a boxer, he was a monster. Sonny Liston had served time in prison. He had connections to organized crime. He had a stare that reportedly made opponents want to leave before the first bell. He had knocked out Floyd Patterson, the heavyweight champion, in 1 round. Then he knocked him out again in a rematch, also in 1 round. The entire boxing establishment said that if Cassius Clay fought Sonny Liston, Cassius Clay would be killed. Not beaten, killed. Cassius Clay called Liston a big, ugly bear and promised to eat him alive. The fight was scheduled for February 25, 1964. Cassius was 22 years old. Liston was considered unbeatable. At the weigh-in the morning of the fight, Cassius Clay appeared to have lost his mind. He screamed. He lunged at Liston. His pulse was recorded at 120 beats per minute, so high that the fight doctor considered recommending he be disqualified on medical grounds. Observers thought he had cracked under the pressure. His trainer, Angelo Dundee, later admitted he had no idea what was happening. Here is what was actually happening. Cassius Clay was performing. The chaos was deliberate. He had studied Liston carefully and understood that what Liston fed on was fear. Liston needed his opponent scared. So Clay gave him the opposite. He gave him someone who seemed to have gone completely insane. Liston had no psychological playbook for a man who appeared not to fear death. February 25th, 1964, Miami Beach Convention Center. The crowd is expecting a slaughter. They are expecting to watch a loud, arrogant young man get exactly what they believe is coming to him. Round 1. Cassius Clay does something Sonny Liston has never seen in a heavyweight fight. He runs, not backward in panic. He moves laterally, constantly, his feet never stopping, his head rolling off every punch Liston throws. Liston's jab, reportedly the most powerful jab in boxing history, keeps finding air. Round 2. Same. Liston is confused and beginning to breathe hard. Clay is toying with him.
Round 3. Clay lands a right hand that opens a cut under Liston's eye. Round 4. Something strange happens. Between rounds, a substance, possibly a solution used to close Liston's cut, gets onto Clay's gloves. When he wipes his face, it enters his eyes. He can barely see. He tells Angelo Dundee to cut his gloves off. He wants to quit. Dundee refuses. He pushes Clay off the stool and tells him to run. Just run. You're winning. Just run. So Clay, half blind, spends round 4 surviving on memory and instinct alone. Moving, surviving, waiting.
By round 5, his eyes clear, and Cassius Clay becomes the most dangerous man on earth again. Round 6. Liston is exhausted, bleeding, demoralized. He has never been here before, deep into a fight, losing, against someone who will not break. Round 7 never happens. Sonny Liston sits on his stool between rounds 6 and 7 and does not get up. He claims a shoulder injury. The crowd boos. The ringside reporters are stunned. Cassius Clay is the heavyweight champion of the world. But the title was just the beginning, because the morning after he beat Sonny Liston, Cassius Clay walked to a podium and announced something that would cost him everything, and ultimately define him more than any fight ever could. He said, "My name is no longer Cassius Clay. That name was a slave name. My name is Muhammad Ali." Next time, we follow Muhammad Ali into the battles that happened outside the ring. And those battles were the ones that truly made him the greatest.
History is full of men who were great inside an arena. But the arenas that truly test a person are the ones with no referee, no rules, and no final bell. Ali's real fight was just beginning. The book stays open. Come back on Monday. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell us in the comments if you want something explored by the universe of imagination.